Hi, and welcome back to Par Breakers Golf Academy. My name is Bernard Sheridan, and today we're going to take a look at the swing of Russell Henley, the winner of the 2014 Honda Classic. So there was a four-way playoff, and Russell came out on top. We're going to take a look at some of the things that he does in his swing and how it can help your game. So if we look at address here, he's in a good position. Okay, he's definitely set up with his tailbone back pretty well, and if I draw a line here on the shaft, we can see how position wise where that shaft is. Reaching just a slight bit. This is normal for players with a driver. If his upper body was standing just a little bit taller, so if I drop a line here from his shoulders straight down, we'll see that it's out over his feet. So what that's going to do, unless you have a lot of talent like Russell has, is it's going to want to make your arms work just a little bit more independently from your core, which is not what we want to see happen for you guys. So what I'd like to see is your upper body standing just a little bit taller than Russell's is at address, so that your shoulders would now end up being more here, which is not a huge difference, but it'll definitely make a difference in the angle that shaft is at address. It won't be quite as steep, and you won't be reaching as much. So remember that, and we've spoke about this before, the more that you reach away from your body, the heavier the club is going to become. It's just like if you're lifting something heavy, a heavy object, you're not going to get it way away from you. You're going to get in close to that heavy object to lift it, because you can use more of your mass to lift it, and it makes it easier and makes it feel lighter to you. Okay? Address-wise, if we look at ball position here from face on, just inside of his left heel. Okay? So if I draw a line straight up there, it's right at his left arm socket, which is exactly where the club is going to bottom out and reach the bottom of its arc, and then it'll start up. So he's actually going to be a little bit on a downswing here into impact, and as a tour pro with a higher club head speed, he can get away with this. But as amateurs with club head speeds under 115 miles an hour, I would prefer that your ball position is just a little bit more forward of that. So I would prefer it to be right about here, which would be right at your big toe. Okay. The other thing that I want you to notice here too is that his left foot is fanned open just a little bit. So that's going to make his hip flexors be able to rotate more easily through to a full finish, which is really good. Now, as I start the club back here, we can see that he starts to raise the club up, okay, and he starts to come off the original plane, but his hands are parallel. But what I want you to notice, too, is that they've remained on that red line, which is where they started. So they haven't gotten real inside of that red line until they get up above his waist, okay? He's going to get a higher hinge, and so he's definitely a two-plane swinger. So he's going to get steep on the way back, okay? And he's going to have a nice high reach to get his hands nice and high to make a good full turn, okay? So if we look here, we can see that his first motion through, it doesn't really look like he's lifting the club off the ground right away, okay? And he really isn't. So sometimes when we look at it down the line, it can appear that way, all right? But nice full turn, gets a lot of hip rotation here, okay, and head is moved a lot on the backswing. So not tremendously though, all right? So in other words, I know I sound like I kind of contradicted myself there, okay, but what I do see here is a good full turn, and he's staying fairly centered. All right, so if we were to just see exactly how centered he is here, let's just drop a little line right down his core. Let's go back to right where he is at address. We'll drop a little line right here, right down his core where his hands are. And head is staying pretty steady. Okay, head moved a little bit behind it, just like we spoke about. Okay, so that's that hip rotation. Now remember that when he gets back, he's going to have to get his head right there. Okay, a lot of times what will happen is we'll see a lateral slide when that happens. And for professionals, it's much easier for them to recover from a lateral slide. But for amateurs, it's much more difficult. So, because as he comes in, his head is definitely behind, and then his arms go through, okay? So he can get that launch up, and then he kind of finishes back where his head was, okay? Now, we know that Tiger, not to get off of Henley here, but we know that Tiger actually has some withdrew from the Honda due to lower back problems. And a lot of what happens is for players, when they get into this position at the finish, it's going to put stress on that lower back area there. Okay, this is something that we don't want to see happen for you guys. Okay, I'd like to see your head moving over to this red line at the finish. Okay, Russell is tremendously talented. That's why he can get away with this, but here's the problem. By the time Russell gets to be Tiger's age, he's going to have some problems, and he's going to end up withdrawing from tournaments. And Tiger, I don't want to say that Tiger could have won this tournament if he didn't withdraw, but he could have been in pretty decent standing. So I don't think he would have won it, but he could have been in pretty decent standing. So essentially, that position of when that hip rotates tremendously on the backswing, not only are you losing power, but I would like to see your head kind of there at the top as opposed to here. So in other words, I want your head to stay a little bit more centered. And then as you come through, instead of that lateral move, okay, we're going to just see a full straight turn back where left hip and left shoulder are just going to move straight back, as if you were shaking hands with somebody behind you. I'm going to do a video sometime, hopefully within the next week or two, that demonstrates that, and so that you can get a better idea as to how that transition can have a pure weight shift to the front foot without any lateral movement. And that'll help keep the ball on line much more. Okay? So as you come into impact, instead of leaning back like that, getting lower body ahead, I want to see that shoulder getting out in front too. We can notice too how his knee, see how his knee is slid past that red line. Okay, here as he goes back, it's way behind it. At address, it's right on it. As he moves back, it's way behind it, and then that knee flies way ahead of it. Okay, so we want to see that knee kind of right there by the time he goes through. That'll stop that upper body, upper torso tilting away from the target, which leads to a lot of pushes and pulls. Okay, and then we would end up being in a much better position at the finish. So now, as we see as he comes down through impact, we can see how much he has turned his hips back, okay, and into impact, and he has come back on plane. And as he comes out on plane, okay, which is a great position. His shoulder gets pretty close to getting to pointing at the target. And here we can see it is similar to pointing at the target, but we do have this reverse spine position here, which we want to get rid of. So we want our golf game to last for a long time, okay, basically our lifetime. And if a swing like this, for most players, their body's not going to be able to take the punishment. And like we just said, if we look at Tiger Woods, his body was unable to take that punishment, and now he has to withdraw. And it's going to be kind of tough to get in better shape than Tiger Woods. So it's not due to the fact that Tiger's not in shape, and it's not due to the fact that maybe you might not be in top physical shape. It's the way that you use your body and how you can guard against injury, whether you're in top shape like Tiger or you're in average shape like the rest of us. So let's just think about this, and the next time that we go to play, let's just think about how we want to get everything over that left side, and we don't want to end up with our head back behind our left foot. We want our head to be posted over our left foot, and that'll help relieve a lot of those problems. So we wish Russell Henley congratulations on his second tour win. And if you have any questions, don't forget to post them below. We'd love to hear your comments. And we'll see you next time here at Par Breakers Golf Academy. Take care.